Hello and good afternoon. Welcome back to HR Voices. In this series of HR Voices episodes presented by Centurion University, we are trying to build bridges between industry and academia for increased collaboration and better understanding of the requirements from both the sides. The current landscape of industry academia collaboration is dominated by the need to accelerate innovation, bridge the skills gap, and address pressing global challenges like equity and sustainability. The collaborations also need to focus on cutting edge research and the translation of fundamental knowledge into market ready applications. To discuss these crucial topics, our first guest for today is Mr. Binu Philip. Binu is the CHRO of Schneider Electric. He has over 30 years of rich HR leadership experience across various industry domains, including IT and digital technologies, commercial operations, telecom, and technology services. Our second guest is Dr. Supriya Pattanayak. Dr. Pattanayak is the Vice Chancellor of Centurion University of Technology and Management, Odisha. Dr. Pattanayak has over 25 years of rich experience in the development sector and academia. She has earned a reputation of being a highly competent professional working with bilateral, multilateral, government, and non-government organizations. Today, we will gather rich, dual perspective on the future of talent, research, and innovation from both these speakers. Here's the conversation. Good afternoon and welcome to HR Voices, the fresh episode where we are discussing industry academia collaboration and why there is a need for strategic shared vision between industry and academia. Welcome, Binu, today on our episode, and welcome, Dr. Pattanayak.
Thank you, Ms. Bilquis and Businessworld for having me. It's also a privilege to join along with Dr. Supriya for this conversation.
Thank you, Bilquis. It's lovely to be here and for this interaction.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to have you both with us today. I'll start with the questions straight away. Let us understand why this strategic need for a shared vision. And Binu, I'll start with you. In the current business environment, where does your company see its biggest innovation gap? And how essential is external academic collaboration to close this gap versus relying on the internal R&D inside the company?
Okay, so very pertinent question. And let me first give you some context. Schneider Electric, the company that I represent, is a global leader in energy and automation space. We operate on the demand side of energy management by creating digital solutions for energy efficiency and sustainability. I don't know whether you know this, but we have been multiple times recognized, including by the Time magazine, as the number one company in the world in the space of sustainability. So I let me just take the context back to India, and India is already poised for doubling the energy production. What I understand is by 2030, almost 60% of the energy production in the country will come from renewables. This is on the supply side of the energy, but there's a bigger opportunity on the demand side by conserving energy and saving energy, and that's where we play in creating energy efficiency. And the other space which is happening in India is, if you have followed Nandan Nilekani, who implemented UPI in India, he recently said that energy is the next UPI for India. This is because the shift you will see is that it is not the grids and the other pieces of the which is run by the government that just generates the energy. We as consumers become also generators of energy, and we call that word in the Schneider parlance called prosumer. So this is an interesting evolution. And how in this context, I will share a minute about what we do in India from the R&D, since you spoke about that particular space. We have close to 6,000 engineers in India who innovate for the world on this space of energy management and automation. And this team is also the hub for the newly created AI hub for innovation for the world for Schneider. But if you really ask me, while this is something which we do internally, there's a big opportunity for the industry and the academia and the universities to partner in many spaces. The list is endless if you look at from our energy management business space, but I can give you a few pointers. For example, there's a lot of transmission in the loss in the energy, and hence one evolving space is microgrid. So there's a lot of technologies which can be developed in partnership with universities and research firms on microgrid. You see a lot of investment being made in yet another space in the energy space is on energy storage solutions. Today we have moved from lead acid batteries to lithium ion, etc. But there is so much of research happening within India and across the globe on new alternate solutions, because this lithium ion alone is not sustainable in the long run, and we need to create more cheaper, more sustainable, more smaller size options and newer chemistries. I don't know whether you know this, but we are one of the largest players in the data center business. Probably one out of every three data centers in the world is kind of powered or powered by Schneider. But with AI, the whole computing space is going to become intense, and it requires far more energy, and it also generates a lot more heat. Today we have called cooling solutions, but the cooling solutions of today may not suffice in an emerging world of AI, where AI data centers will become front and center. The other space is that today India has probably hardly nominal energy consumption of whatever we produce in the country is utilized for EV. By 2030, it's expected that we may probably be spending 3% of all our energy consumption on EV. So that's a big shift. So here is where again a lot of opportunity for university company collaboration to innovate. Last but not the least, I must say that India has really last couple of years, last few years, focused a lot on India for India and Make in India programs.
Make in India, yeah.
Yeah, so that particular thing will benefit a lot of industries if there's a lot of research happens on robotics and automation, and all industries will benefit from that. These are some of the spaces where I can give some indication where I see big opportunities for partnership.
Fantastic. That sets the background of the conversation. There's a lot of talk about, you've spoken about technologies which are coming up and which have come up in the recent times. Dr. Pattanayak, I want to understand from you, universities are historically the centers of pure knowledge. How the need to address innovation and achieve market-ready applications fundamentally changed your mission and structure of the university? How has it impacted the curriculums also? Please tell me about that.
So again, thank you so much. But first of all, again, I'll set the context a bit
Yeah.
in terms of the Centurion University, of which I'm the Vice Chancellor. This is based in Odisha. It was actually enacted through an act of the Odisha Legislative Assembly in 2010, and it is actually designated as a skills university. And I think that's where it's the difference, because traditionally, as you very clearly pointed out, that universities have been centers of knowledge. However, they've also completely separated that which is cognitive from that which is practice oriented, right? That is which is hands-on, practice based, experience led kind of uh, pedagogy. So we have to, with industry, we have to think about how do we bring these two imperatives together. It cannot be that the cognitive aspect remains separate, and the kind of the skills based education can remain. So in order to do this, and I think this is the right time, because this is the time when the government is, the policy environment is also right. We have a national education policy which talks about bringing these all these elements together. We also have the kind of resources that are required. We also have created the base on which this can thrive, this kind of environment. So, where we are concerned, and as you said, our curriculum, we have followed what, or rather, we are aligned, because in many ways we predate the national education policy in some of our policies. So, we have integrated skills into our education. We have about 40% of 40 to 45% of our curriculum, which is actually goes towards microcredits. We have every microcredits which are entirely skill based. So whether it is skill electives, whether it is skills as part of a course, and whether it is direct project based learning. So this is the kind of thing which is very much part of our curriculum. And I think at the end of the day, it is how industry and academia come together to kind of ensure that this, this imperative actually turns into fruition, and how we can actually, uh, I think at the end, and I think it should have been the first and foremost, but also to conclude this sector is that, it's actually a shift in the mindset of people. If, whether it is academics, whether it is higher education institutions, whether it is industry, there has to be a shift in the mindset to kind of look at, it has to be industry with academia, not industry for academia, academia for industry. So I
Correct.
just like to conclude it. Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic, wonderful. Binu, I'll come back to you. We have spoken about technology and changes happening in the large cities, tier one cities, tier two cities. How can industry actively work to ensure that the opportunities bridge the equity gap, engaging universities and students from diverse socio-economic and geographic backgrounds?
Now, first of all, I must admit what Dr. Pattanayak talked about uh, her university being a skills university is very heartening to hear that. I think there's been a lot of recognition of this space that we need to, if India really needs to evolve and become from the fourth largest economy to the third to the second, this is the space which we need to fix. And I can see a lot of work happening across the board in this space, starting from government, whether it's the Skill India program, Karmayogi Bharat program to educate civil servants, prime minister's internship, which enable youth from tier two, tier three cities too. And today, CII is partnering with government to operate model career centers, which gives access to youth on psychometric enabled career counseling, an opportunity to recruit, train, and deploy to industry and in partnership with industries. A whole lot of work happening in this, and there is also various skill missions across states. And since you come from Dr. Pattanayak from Odisha, and we partner with the Odisha Skills Mission in enabling students there. But if you were to really look at some of the few elements of things, we do a lot of work in this space, but it all is a drop in the ocean. But still, what I would like to call out is we do skill development at scale. We have It's a cornerstone for our workforce development strategy. We have about 580 vocational training centers across India, over 3 lakh youth, uh, primarily from the underserved communities, have been trained in electrical, automation, and digital technologies. So they're equipped to become employed quickly. So this is something you have, and it also prepares the next generation of workforce for a green and digital economy. We have a Schneider Electric University. It's a global university. It offers vendor neutral training in energy, sustainability, and digital innovation. Anytime, anywhere. Over 300 highly specialized courses can be leveraged by anybody. Students, you are an NGO member, you are a professional, you can leverage that. The other things you normally do is that internships in the real world learning is an important work which you do with partnering with tier one, tier two universities and bring them into the company, train them, and a lot of them become employees of the company subsequently. We actively partner in the apprenticeship program for diploma and ITA students, and definitely we are also active contributor to the Prime Minister's internship program. Uh, But while all this is said, but I personally believe that there is one particular gap in India which is yet to be paid adequate attention to. While India has progressed enough, but I think the gender divide still remains. If you look at the US, Europe, China, you will find more than 40% of women in organized sectors, whereas in India it's about 24. Schneider, we have a specific program called Jagriti, primarily for school children and big focus on girl child, is to really break gender stereotype and enabling them to think about careers outside the normal, or rather take unconventional career options or non-traditional career choices. So this is important to catch them early and bring this orientation. And I think what we do, as I said, is a speck in the ocean, and we are all industry, universities, government has to collectively do far more work in kind of reducing this gender divide.
Fantastic. It's lovely to know about Jagriti and the initiatives that you have taken for bridging the gender divide. Uh, Dr. Patnaik, please tell me how academia is actively working to prepare the students, to prepare and engage the students from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. And I would like to understand from you also, what are the universities doing, particularly yours? What are they doing to bridge the gender divide? Like rightly said by Binu, let us see from your side, what is the perspective of universities in this?
Right. So, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Philip for bringing up some of these issues. I think, first of all, I want to, set the record straight that higher education institutions are actually mandated to be inclusive, and to provide opportunities to persons from all walks of life.
Correct.
So, whether it is the historically marginalized women, people with disabilities, economically weaker sections, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, you name them, persons with mental health issues, whatever. Um, traditionally the way higher education institutions have gone about it is to provide scholarships. That has been the way to go about. But I think what is important now, and I think we kind of the more I have been reflecting on some of these issues, we need to have, and we are within our universities having more mentorship and leadership programs for empowerment and spaces for the voices of these marginalized persons to be heard. Now, uh, the other thing we have done at Centurion University is we have also created a formal program to ensure students can be creators and contributors rather than beneficiaries or entitled consumers and customers. Unless again, this is that mindset shift that I've been talking about. Now, I'd like to say that, it's very interesting that Mr. Philip talked about the skilling programs that Schneider does. And I know that Schneider does some of the most wonderful work and is a world leader in some of these issues. At Centurion University, we have also got our own social enterprise wing, vertical, which we call the Gramtarang Employability Training Services. And therein, we have actually trained skilled people and put them into employment, about 800,000 school dropouts. So, in addition to what we are doing in higher education and trying to integrate skills into higher education, we also try and see how is it, because as you rightly point out, that especially with these groups which have been left out, and I said we are supposed to be inclusive, we have to look at all those people who have not had opportunities, and therefore we went into this skilling program of school dropouts. I also think, what can industry do? And I have, for a very long time, we have tried to work with industry to actually develop the curriculum. Now, we can all work in silos. We can all do these kind of things. Like every industry comes in and says, we do our skill program. Everybody does that. But I think we need to see that how is it that we can work together to make the curriculum in such a manner that the graduates who come out are actually ready for that industry. And I think rightly, as you pointed out, that you have the internship programs which then build into, so they have the training, then the internship, and they get into industry. The last thing that I would like to address is what is Centurion doing to address the whole gender issue. Now, I must say that this has been, I am myself such a champion of gender issues. So I always kind of think that what is it that we can do? And one of the things we said was that we will try, what has happened is now, if you look at engineering education, you find that almost there is a huge move towards computer science. And as rightly so, all the AI and technology and all that which is happening now is, but I said that at some point, the industry is going to turn around, and where are the actual mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, these kind of issues are going, the core competencies are going to come up again, and we're going to have a requirement for that. So I have actually tried to see that where is it that we can provide support to girls to enter into these fields actually. So of anything other than computer science, so that if we can do that, and I think that might also encourage them. And so and also, if you come to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, you will find that the aspirations of young people are only in the kind of fields that they're, what is kind of valued in that society. So everybody wants to be a doctor and an engineer, even now in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So when I talk about, okay, why don't you join a forensic science course or something in allied health, you know? So there are a whole range of programs where we can see that we are actually ensuring that girls are supported into those kind of programs. And we are also trying to see that uh, where there is some kind of high end, like you'll be surprised to know, for example, we run an agriculture program, and we have a kind of a balance in that program of the ratio of girls to boys. And we see that girls also learn, for example, how to drive a tractor, how to drive a harvester, so everything that is expected of a student of agriculture, which women were actually kept out of because they're not technologically savvy. So now we are trying to see, and the same thing now we are trying to see how can they use drones, for example, in agriculture spraying, and that all those image processing. So even the high end kind of training that we are trying to encourage women to also participate in. So that is how we are trying to address this whole issue of the gender divide. I know it's not, we are still far away from it, but we are at least trying to see that how do we address this issue.
Fantastic. It's very heartening to even listen to these initiatives and the new technologies which are being taught in the university, especially to the women students. So it's very interesting to know. Um, Binu, I want to understand when we are talking about skill gap, bridging the skill gap, how can both the sectors facilitate talent rotation, where industry professionals teach or mentor at the university and the academic faculty, they spend some time sabbaticals, for example, working on the industry R&D problems, so that there's a constant exchange of knowledge and ideas. What do you think about this?
Yeah. So I must first admit that the particular work Centurion has done, university has done in the space of school college dropouts is fascinating, and also or kind of changing gender stereotypes of enabling the girl students to do something different is fascinating. Compliments to you, Dr. Pattanayak. And coming to the question about talent rotations, I think it's a question of partnership. So
Correct.
I would say that, look, most companies do this partnership, but question is it enough? For example, if we have partnered with 220 institutes across the country today, and we have dozens of COEs set up in multiple countries. Worldwide, we have a university program where we support and fund universities, global tier one universities. Three of the universities are from India for the Schneider Global Program. So one thing which we do is that in these partnerships, we look at whether the universities can and an industry can come together in co-creating the career opportunities, and hence design the courses to suit that. And we also do kind of work with the universities, and we have a particular program called Crux of the Matter. We do technical webinars on real-time technical challenges we have in the organization and engage with the students and teachers. We have live lab projects in many universities. And we also believe that it's important for, and this is a gap, we believe that it's important for the university faculty to be inside the company and spend time. So we have at least at a surface level, we have immersion program, but which could go far deeper and where they spend far more time. So we call it a faculty immersion program. So I think the topics like what is being talked about as professors of practice, where people from industry who go to campuses and spend far more time than just a guest lecture, and train students, and which bridges the theory and practice challenge. Faculty in some universities are permitted to come and spend 20% of their time on real life projects in businesses, and they're paid accordingly for that, so they can actually co-create work and design projects and real life problems with the company, and solve that. And that's an industry, not just an industry initiative. It's also the university has to design their model of how the professors are leveraged for them to come and work in a company to solve a real life problem. So I think academia brings in really deep curiosity and research depth. Industry will want to bring in speed and application. So this is a space where a lot of work has happened and which can be further increased. One thing which I see a shift in the last few years is the fact that companies are not just going just as companies. Today, companies are coming together and as industry going to the academy and saying that, okay, can you stitch this for us? This is our skill framework, skill architecture. This is where we need help. For example, I see some work happening on cloud computing, and some of the companies coming together and having a tripartite body which actually works with the universities to change the curriculum. So that's a space I think should see more evolution.
Fantastic. One more thing which I want to understand when we are speaking about preparing the students and bringing the skill, bringing better skills when it is from the industry's requirement side. Dr. Pattanayak, how are universities preparing the students when it comes to non-technical skills? When we talk about resilience, when we talk about adaptability, ethical reasoning, industry now requires new graduates who are more resilient, and they understand the value of perseverance. How are universities preparing the students?
So I think that's a very interesting question, because I think we don't really delve on some of these issues. But I think non-technical uh, life skill issues, life
Yeah.
skills are absolutely critical for the present generation. I mean, we can't deny it. Now, what has Centurion done? It has tried to create an industry ecosystem so that learning and production labs are there within the university, and skills such as what is the most important thing I think is this whole issue of respect, respect and respect, adaptability and sustainability, because I think that's one of the things we don't talk about enough. uh, they are actually embedded within everything we do, because we have the learning labs, we have the production labs. So it is I mean, it's interesting because we have actually industry on campus. So we have young people who are actually looking at the entire production process, who are part of that, who are engaged in that. So they are actually in an environment which is an industry ecosystem. So they are embedded within the system, and they learn this because the university focuses on this value over on these values overall. And actually, if you look at us at our university, we have a focus on promoting a circular economy. We have almost a zero waste campus, all our campuses. We have 6 campuses. We have, firstly, we kind of believe in the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycle. We also highlight that waste generated is consumed immediately in the university. It doesn't go out. If anything, we are doing it because we kind of try to ban plastics on our campus, but we still we still found that there is some amount of plastic that we can't ban. It's not. It's been so difficult, and so what we did was that we tried to. We actually have a unit where we produce paver blocks commercially. So we tried to incorporate the plastic waste into the paver blocks. So that is the kind of things we do. So that is the kind of you know the kind of circular economy that we have within our campus. And this is the kind of mindset. Again, I kind of keep coming back because these are the soft issues which we don't take into account because we think, okay, technology can handle everything. But at the end of the day, it is the way people are perceiving the kind of environment in which they live and what it is that they want to do. This mindset is actually required for the Gen Z, which then they will carry over to their workplace. So if they get it at the university level, then they will carry it into their workplace. And that is how I perceive that if we are giving the right, and it's not something that can be taught, but it's something that has to be experienced. And so that's why I said the ecosystem is very important. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah. You spoke about embedding the qualities inside the student. Uh, Binu, I want to understand what is the soft skill requirement from the industry side, and also you must be experiencing the different attitudes from Gen Z. So, what
Yes.
is the requirement?
No, I would be very hesitant to generalize, but I would, as a practicing HR professional, what I see, I can probably see some patterns. On the positive side, and it's very nice that Professor Dr. Pattanayak talked about the circular economy, sustainability, etc. I see the new generation is super focused on environment, and rather they are pushing the rest of the organization because they drive it, they champion it. That's very natural to them. They probably are far more tuned into creating a net neutral world. So I can see that. The second thing, in today's AI world, which is evolving, I don't see an anxiety about the new generation being technology savvy or digital savvy. They are digital natives. They are learning far faster than their managers and the leaders. And it's a reverse influence which is happening in terms of the speed of adoption of I see in the organization. This is the positive sides. Where I see, and I'm at the cost of generalizing, I'm saying this, is that two spaces I find a challenge. One is, and somewhere Dr. Patnaik talked about it earlier in terms of digital versus core skills, core technologies, that need to know and gain depth is a challenge. See, I think it's super important for the next generation to be far more deeper than more general. So, of course, it's very good to have a T shape where you have a generalist knowledge, but it is also important for them to be deep in one space. So, that particular space is where I see some challenge in helping them narrow into what their depth space is. And I think the value which they need to kind of embed a lot more is the value of curiosity. Understand more. I have a solution easily at my fingertip, but why and understand that more is somewhere I think the universities also can educate students a little bit more to go into depth, the core of the solution, not just the user interface or the experience of the customer. So that change is something which I'll say. So I'll say curiosity as a big value, which I would see as one of the two values, I would say. Second one, I think you mentioned in your question, And I think that's super important. And that is resilience. I think the generation of today often tend to be looking for instant gratification and constant recognition. That's good. That's the way it is. But that also reduces the ability to deal with setbacks and failures and bounce back. So this is a skill which I see as a big challenge in terms of how do you bounce back, and resilience. Building resilience is super important. And I see it's across the board, whether you are coming from a function like HR, or you're an engineer, or you're a finance guy, or a lady in sustainability. I see this across the board. So I think so inner resilience, ability to be curious, are the two topics I would say are big focus from the observations I have made. So I would still not like to generalize.
Fantastic. Let us now talk about the challenges and the future outlook when we talk about the industry and academia collaboration. Dr. Patnaik, what is the biggest challenge that you face while establishing or scaling a new industry collaboration?
Uh, I think, see, for a university like us, again, I think I will also take that line from Mr. Philip that I don't think we should generalize, but still, I think that we have a little bit of a coming from a tier two, tier three city. That's always a locational disadvantage, a spatial disadvantage. Where industry usually likes to looks for visibility, and we have experienced this ourselves. Why come to a place like Odisha, like it's very difficult to be seen there, and that kind of a thing. So the cosmetic value is something that we can't give, so that's been a bit of a challenge. And it has for although I say that we have more than 50 or 70 industry collaborations, even then every one of it was a struggle. So that's why I'm saying that that is a bit of a challenge. Now, but I think even bigger than that is I, and this is my perception. I can't say again. It's industry's opinion of academia. You know that academia is perceived to be not practical, not time bound, not outcome oriented. And I think some of it is also probably right, because they come from very different starting points and very different like I said, if the whole idea of whether university should be engaged in commercialization, that is another issue, because that mindset is not something that my job is to only as an academic is to impart knowledge and skills, but it is not to kind of, so that is a it's not necessarily if I say something that industry perceives or opinion of academia is that they're not practical, it's probably right, like that's what I would like to say. So this kind of how do we change this? And I think that is where we need to work much more, because I think somewhere along the way we have to bring into view the fact that uh, the industry, and that's why I said the kind of ecosystem that now universities have to get into is something different. They have to change, they have to alter to kind of respond to the needs of not just industry but of society at large. So we have to look at what it is that we have to reflect and be reflexive as academic institutions as to what it is that we should bring to the kind of mix of things, so that we can be more relevant and we can be more we can contribute better. So that's how I think that we can look at it.
Great, fantastic. We have so many questions, but we are short of time. My final question to you, Binu, is that if you could predict one major way your collaboration with academia will redefine the workforce landscape in the next 5 years, what would it be?
So I think there's a huge appetite for industry and academia to come together, but somewhere it's on two train lines. So I think, but I would say that both are super key. because all the Horizon 3, Horizon 4, Horizon 5 research, uh, the industry will not have an appetite to spend time, other than some real large global organizations have done that very well. So here we lean heavily on academia, to real universities to kind of do that and bring in the future of what needs to be done. So that, to me, two three things. One is, this partnership is something which we really need to continue working on, and research lab, incubated research labs inside the campuses, or industry setting up something inside the, the industry setting up something in the campus, or vice versa, would be simple way to do it is, do this is hackathon. So we have probably just in the last phase of what we call as a green, go green mission, which actually engages students. In fact, India has the largest participation, over 1200 teams participated from India in the global go green program of Schneider, and 6000 plus students. So these are kind of helping students work on real industry problems. So students and the professors come together, and hence we solve real problem. This time the problem is very interesting: solar powered agriculture, solar powered micro businesses, etc. So real life problems. The students and the professors are coming together, and they are helping students to kind of pitch for this. So this is another way of solving problems. We have a sustainability research institute. So it's in partnership with academic organizations, and we do work in decarbonization, sustainability, artificial intelligence, multiple white papers published, and some of them in collaboration with universities, etc. So these are all various ways of doing it. There are immense opportunities, and I see a genuine intent for that to happen. But I must say that we must not make the academia research just like short term for industry or other ways, because you still need that long gestation, horizon 3 4 5 research to happen in the industry.
Fantastic. Dr. Patnaik, final words from you. If you could predict one major way your partnership with industry will redefine academic and research landscape in the next 5 years, what would it be?
So I think I did mention this before. I think the contours of the partnership should change. I mentioned that. What is that partnership? When you say partnership, what does it mean? Is it academia for industry, or industry for academia, or is it academia with industry? And I think that's where the key point is. And as Mr. Philip said, it actually involves lifelong learning for both industry and academia. And I tell you, some of the things he has pointed out earlier, you have professors of practice, you have people on sabbatical who are going and working in industry, we have people from industry who are coming in to do a PhD. All these kinds of engagements are there to kind of address this partnership kind of models. But, and I think like probably one of the easiest things is to say that you have a lab on campus. But what beyond that? What beyond that? Like how do you go beyond just having a industry establishing a lab to actually saying that, and again, what are the contours of the partnership? What do we mean by that? But I think what I would also like to point out is that, Centurion is aligned, and I coming back to the NEP because I keep saying that the policy environment is just right, and we're probably poised to take off. So we are aligned with the six kind of core skill sets that we talk about, which is skill sets that we talk about, that is core literacy, numeracy, professional life skills, and entrepreneurial skills. So entrepreneurial skills again become a very important aspect. But where we also look at how is learning progressing, is that is the traditional. Go beyond the traditional to addressing uh, applied action learning, and then finally to active learning. And I think that's where again you have these kind of constant. What do I mean by active learning? That is connecting to the market, and that is again an iterative process. So that is where I think industry and academia can work very closely to ensure that active learning, which is a lifelong kind of thing, because I said it is an activative process. And as long as that happens, I think this kind of partnership has a lot of potential. And I think that's where we should all aim to move towards.
Fantastic. That was a lovely conversation. So let us take it as academia with industry and lifelong learning. That is the lesson that we get from here. Thank you so much, Binu, for joining us today. And thank you, Dr. Pattanayak, for joining us today. It was lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you, Bilquis. Great meeting you, Doctor. And thank you for the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Pattanayak.
Thank you, Bilquis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.